to my channel. Welcome. I really need this tea right now. Okay, so the title of this video is Let's Talk About Time. I'm trying to pull you up on the computer so I can see your comments. So just bear with me. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. There we go. Now, I also have notes for this video, and I am going to take my time with this video. I always do this. This is normal. Every time I say, oh, I'm not going to do any YouTube videos. I'm going to, take a break and not do any videos. I got to focus on this. I got to focus on that, blah, 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 right? And then here I am, as soon as I wake up with all of this information. Thank you for the last 3 days of these upgrades that we have been having. Because now I'm like, oh, we need to talk about time. Yeah. So this is where we are now. Just so you know how we got here. Because the headaches, the crazy weather, all of the ascension symptoms, and then bam, now we're here, right? So, backstory. I wake up and I'm recalling my dreams as usual. And um, the church 1122, it's a church here in Jacksonville, Florida. And when I saw it, us and our angel numbers, right? When I saw it, I was like, what's that about? Because I'm one of those people. I'll research things just to find out what the name means and all this and that. So I know I've done it before and then I just let it go, didn't think anything of it, but it came to me last night in a dream again. So I was like, okay, let me go look again, right? And apparently, this church was established, and it's a Christian church. This church was established in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, right? And there's two different things that came up when I was looking for the meaning of the name. Why did they name the church 1122, right? Now, some people say that it's based off of, is it Mark or Matthew? I don't know, I already forgot. It's hard to hold this information. Um, Let me look it up. But it's the other meaning to the name is that they simply asked the first people that were going to the church what was a good time that they would want to show up. Okay? And that's when they decided, okay, this is going to be the name of the church, because everybody decided on 1122 as far as the time that they wanted to show up to church, and like it was to help people show up on time, right? So that's the Wikipedia answer for why this church is named 1122. It's about what time they want people to show up. Okay? It's to help from that traditional 11 o'clock service thing, give them a little more time to be on time, right? But others think that it's based off of Mark 11:22 in the Bible. And that Bible verse is, I'm going to just read it to you verbatim. Have faith in God, Jesus answered. Truly, I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in their heart, but believes what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And that's the New International Version. Okay, basically, it's talking about, aspects of manifestation that we understand. You're not going to manifest anything if you don't believe you can, right? And you really have to believe in the power of source within you in order to manifest, in order to make things happen here on this physical plane. Tell me why, though. I said, okay, I smashed the two together. I did this. Yes, it happened. I I said to myself, so if some people think it's based off of this Bible verse, which is very, indicative of manifestation, right? And believing in the source within yourself, right? So if you smash the two together, you know, with the 11:22 time of service and then the Bible verse talking about manifestation, if you put the two together, it makes you wonder again, it makes you go back to the whole basic meaning of time. And that's what I did. I said, what is time? I started looking up time as if I did not know time as a concept, if I had not been using time my whole life. Okay? Because I'm trying to figure out what my energy is trying to tell me, right? So I rabbit holed time. And for me, I feel like this video is about manifestation, and it's about whatever understanding whoever's watching this needs in the now, because apparently the last maybe 4 or 5 days of changes we've been going through energetically, um people are ready to hear whatever this is that I'm about to say. Okay, they're ready to hear it. They would not have been ready to hear it before, but it'll be understood now, right? So when we look at the basic definition of time, okay, time is a calculation, right? It is an observance of occurrences, of events. And it is the measurement. It's a measurement. It's a measurement of, of those occurrences between each other. Okay, this happened this day, and then it happened 3 days later. You're counting the events, and then you're also counting other events. Like the sun rising and the sun setting in between those events in order to measure that event. So it's a whole bunch of calculations based off of observations of what is constantly already naturally happening, right? Time is associated with the fourth dimension, okay? We have 3 dimensions that are physical, okay? Physical dimensions based off of, space, length, width, and height type thing, right? You're measuring a physical object. But once you get to time, you're dealing with fourth dimensional stuff. You're dealing with calculations and observations. You're dealing with what they say is fundamental, right? And I feel like fundamental and necessary are interchangeable, okay? So time is necessary is what I would say. So if you understand that time is not real, then you understand that the experience of time is what even makes it a thing. You're experiencing it. So just like you're experiencing the air around you, that's what makes it real. You can't see it. You feel it. There's some physicality to that, right? You feel it when the wind blows. But is the wind air? Or is the wind wind? Are they 2 different things? Do you see what I mean? This is where we get into all of the scientific stuff, and I'm not a scientist, right? But think about it. when the air is just there and there's no wind blowing, it is just air. So there is something in between air and wind that happens that makes you be able to feel air. You know what I mean? There's that inertia, there's that push, there's an energy behind it that makes it another thing. And this is where alchemy comes from. You take this one thing and this other thing and it makes another thing, right? So you got all this natural stuff happening in the third dimension, right? In the three dimensions of the physical realm. All of these natural alchemical processes are in progress. Okay, they're happening all the time, regardless of you observing the time or not. And when I say all the time, think about it, because time encompasses past, present, and future all at once. So when you say something is happening all the time, now that's what that means. Okay, it is happening more than once. It is happening repetitively. It is happening whether or not you are conscious of it or not. It's just happening. Okay, so when some people say that time is not real, what they're really trying to tell you is that however you may be utilizing time or understanding time may not be working for you, right? It may not be working for you. It may be working against you because you don't really understand time and what it is. For me, time is a tool, okay? And I'm sure it's a tool for everybody else. But back to the 1122, okay? Because that's where it all started for me. And I said, okay, 11 by itself. Hey, love. 11 by itself is that snapshot in the moment, in the present moment. It's that whole be positive, because when you see that number 11, it's that snapshot of the present moment. So make it the highest that you can make it, in your mind and with your emotions. That's that manifestation number, is that 11. That's that instant manifestation, right? For me, I would say 11 is indicative of like a portal to fifth dimensional manifestation, like that quick manifestation, right? And then you've got the master number 22, which is the master builder, which again is talking about more so of physical reality. So 11 is a bridge, and the 22 is the structure at the ends of the bridges. You see what I mean? Y'all just bear with me, okay? Because this was not planned. So when it comes to the numbers 1122, and I'm no longer talking about how I even started this rabbit hole journey, okay? We're just focused on the numbers now. When it comes to the numbers 1122, you're literally talking about manifesting in the now and time not existing. Rapid manifestation. That I Dream of Genie stuff. That whole blink and it's there. That's what 1122 means to me. Okay? So, naturally, you'd have to be careful with something like that, right? So, I'm going to go back to my notes. Physical reality has three spatial dimensions. That's why we call it 3D, right? Those are spatial dimensions linked with height, right? And then once you get to the fourth dimension, that's when we're dealing with time itself, right? You can recall, you can calculate, and you can predict from there. And that's how time is associated with Saturn and the Devil card from Tarot. Okay? This would mean that time is necessary. Time is necessary because in order to build anything, in order to manifest anything, you'd need to know what happened before, what's happening right now, and what could possibly happen in the future based off of what's happening right now and what happened before. So you've got to start to learn to see it all instead of focusing on maybe just the past or maybe just the future, right? So when you think about Saturn and you think about the devil card, you think a lot of people tend to think the negative aspects of that energy first. Okay. They tend to think of the constriction, the entrapment, the, the not repetitiveness, but the how do you say it? Being stuck like in an addictive pattern. Okay. That can happen. Everything has an extreme. However, they don't really focus on the positive side of it. And this is why time seems to be this horrible thing for most people, because it's not being utilized properly. So if you think about the calendars and all of this stuff that was created that you didn't have nothing to do with it, okay? Did nobody ask you? You weren't even here. But you're functioning off of this format of time from your watch, from the calendars and all this and that. And this is how you are functioning through life, right? Because somebody told you this is how it is, right? When you think about that, you got to think about, well, who are they and what was their motive? What was their agenda when they created this calendar and this format of time, to calculate how much time is in a day and all this and that? Like, yeah, you may have observed it and you may have caught on to what was happening, but now how are you actually using it? What is the energy behind you using it? Because most of us know that when they figured that out a long time ago, they used it to their advantage, and they weren't thinking about everybody in that situation. Because when you're in the fourth dimension of time and you're looking down at the third dimension aspects, you have a bird's eye view that the people down in 3D don't have, because they're not really seeing time as a dimension and a tool to be utilized. Most people are not out here dealing with metaphysics like that. They're just being told what to do, and they're functioning in that. You know what I'm saying? They're not in their power. They're not asking questions or anything like that. So they're not aware. They're not observing. DC. So of course that can create a strenuous situation. Of course that can create this drudgery that we call the rat race, and the day in, the day out. And then, we judge people when they're never on time, or they don't really care about being on time. And when they say things like time doesn't exist, right? We're like, oh, you're not responsible. You're not able to respond to the commands of time, right? So that you're not, something's wrong with you. So yeah, that's how you get into the negative sides of Saturn and the devil card. But there are positive sides. Okay, so I think that's what this video is about, to give you a positive side of time, okay, as a necessity. And I don't mean time is good, but I'm going to break down the necessity of it, right? Why is it necessary? Just like air is necessary, right? Oxygen. Time is necessary, again, for what you are, for manifestation in the now. Time is necessary for manifestation in the now from the third dimension, from the physical reality, right? So let me find that one sentence that I created here. Okay, so you build with what you have learned. Then that which you build will last, because the observation of time has shown you this. History is important for the present to build the future in the physical. Okay. In time, they all exist at once. So if you go about life with little awareness and you don't care what happened before, what you build may need revision, and that is how you will end up finding out what happened before anyway. You're not going to be able to escape history because you're making it. Okay. So time is literally about the observation of events and repetitive occurrences. So how much time does it take you to learn the nature of the physical and how it works and how to alchemize it and make new things and all this and that? How much time does it take? Meaning, how many times you have to try this thing? You know what I'm saying? This is why we say how many times. When you're thinking about time, the calculations don't exist by themselves. You need things to happen. That's where the calculations come from, right? So if you think of a number line and you think of the past being here and the present being here, I mean the future being here, and you're in the middle as the present, when we say that we manifest in the now, we're in the center of the number line. We're neither negative or positive, meaning that we're literally alchemizing all of it. We're pulling from both sides. We're thinking about what may have happened in the past and what could happen in the future. We have to hold the vision of the future, but be wise about what has happened in the past in order to manifest in the present, especially if you want something to last going forward, right? So you're not, when you're like, let's say, for instance, you're trying to manifest a vehicle, you need a car, right? If you don't learn anything about cars, if you decide you just want a car and you want to drive and you want to be able to drive this car, most likely for a while, but you decide that you're not going to learn anything about cars and you're just going to learn about driving and traffic rules and do everything that you need to get, your license or whatever. Let's say you don't have a license. You don't bother to learn anything about cars. Well, most likely when you get that car, yeah, you may have thought that you escaped having to learn about cars, but that is the moment where you're going to learn about cars in a very real way, okay? Because you don't know anything about that car, and now you have to get to know that car. And you're going to mess up a lot, but you're going to learn. And then guess what? You're going to have to do it again. You're going to have to get another car. You're going to manifest another car. But this time, you're going to take the time out to learn about the vehicle that you're trying to manifest and how it works and how it functions. This time. Do you see what I mean? Last time, you didn't do that. But this time, you did. And it took time for you to have all of that experience. Okay? All it is these occurrences. And what we do a lot of times is we go from the present moment to the future, and then we get snatched all the way back to the past. Because as you wake up every day and have experiences, you're making history. Yesterday was history for you. You did that already. But you may have to go back and redo something that you did yesterday because you may not have had the awareness or the information that you needed for it to actually be done and last. Okay? And I feel like this is a whole process of work of trying to figure out how the third dimensional space actually works. Nature, physical nature, works a certain way. So you've got to work with it instead of against it. And how are you going to do that unless you observe it, right? If you observe that plants are more vibrant and strong when it rains, then you most likely can come to the conclusion that the plants need water. But if you're not paying attention to that, how are you going to grow a garden? Time is about paying attention. So Saturn, the ultimate goal with Saturn is for you to learn so that you're not trapped, so that you don't feel trapped. This is where we begin to operate outside of time. Saturn does reward. The energy is rewarding when you have taken the time to learn what you need to learn in order to build with the intention of longevity. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to know everything you need to know. It doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes. It just means that you may not get caught up in a repetitive cycle of drudgery as much as the next person, because nature is nature, right? And you'll have a more enjoyable experience than the next person that is just not aware and just being told what to do. And they're just functioning like that. This is what makes you a master manifester. This is what makes you that 1122. The structure and the bridge, okay? That number 11 is having a bird's eye view looking down at the fourth and third dimension. That number 11 sees time as past, present, and future all at once, and it's not going back and forth, having to relearn and get stuck and get in these cycles. That number 11 knows. It's a knowing, right? And that's when we get to that the Mark, the Bible verse, Mark 11:22. That's where we get to that point. That's fifth dimensional and beyond type thinking, right? So when we're saying, hey, trust the source within you, know that it is done, right? That is not the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is mess around and find out. The third dimension is do what you're told and you'll be safe. You see what I mean? So it's about levels of awareness and how you're utilizing time. So when you start to manifest in the now and when you start to pull from that number 11 energy, what's happening is you're literally operating outside of time. And this is where we say third dimensional rules don't apply to the individual who is a master manifester, to the individual who is walking fifth dimensional or above consciousness. And this is where you see those, what they call miracles, which is actually the norm, right? This is where something that would take 6 months for one person only took 2 months for the master manifester. Something that was impossible for one person because they did not believe in the source within them, right? They probably don't even have any awareness of that density, of that dimension. Something that's impossible for them is normal for a person operating in fifth dimensional and beyond consciousness. Of course it's going to irritate people. Of course. And then they're going to say, oh, it's magic. Oh, it's sorcery. It's something separate from nature. No, it's working with nature. It's understanding how nature functions and what's behind what you see, feel, what's behind that physical, helping it to exist and be. right? It's having that much of a bird's eye view to everything. And when you know more and when you're aware of more, of course you have more freedoms, but you also have the responsibility of integrity. Here's where Saturn and the devil card comes in again. With great power comes great responsibility. That's what they mean by that. Okay? So if you have this awareness and you can manipulate and operate outside of time and manipulate energies and things like that, your motive matters. Why are you doing it? And is everybody benefiting, or are you just benefiting? Right? This is how we get into that whole 3D horribleness as we see it. So it is your individual responsibility to choose to operate from fifth dimensional and beyond, and be aware of how to utilize time properly as a calculation in order to build from what the materials that you have in the third dimension, in order to build something new, in order to create alchemy and create something new. Okay, nature is not just these things and that's what it is. There's alchemy there. You can make completely new things, completely new elements from nature, but you got to work with it. This is how we've gotten so far with botany and new plants and all this and that. Apples did not used to taste like the apples we have today. Somebody figured out what goes with what, but they had to try it a lot of times. It took time to learn, and now we got these apples that we got. I mean, just think about how long it took to get cotton candy flavored grapes. So when we speak about fifth dimensional food and things like that, about strawberries the size of your hands and all this and that, you know, the third dimensional beings are going to initially think, oh, that's GMO. I don't want that. But if you were observing and watching your organic garden, if you know how to garden, you would notice that the plants are doing something different this year. They're growing in December when they're not supposed to. And you know that you planted organic seeds. We got a lot going on. And you need to know the difference. Okay? There are natural occurrences of evolution and of alchemy. And if you're observing, you can make it happen faster. You can be there faster. You can cross that bridge. I'm just saying. It's about awareness. So I hope y'all enjoyed the ride that I just took you on, and I'm going to still continue to chew on that. I hope that helped you with manifestation and stuff. I'm not sure. But don't take time so seriously, right? It'll get done anyway. And if you believe, it'll get done right now. Just saying. Whatever source within you, whatever that energy looks like, believe in it. It'll get done right now. Okay? Practice, then mastery. And then nature kind of fast track that. You got natural abilities. And when you become aware of them, you consciously practice them and become a master of it. I'm just saying. Thank you, love. So yeah, but I think the message for this whole video was believe in yourself, your whole self, your divine self, the source within you, right? I woke up like this, y'all. I wasn't even ready. So y'all enjoy these beautiful upgrades and your genius moments. And please share whatever rabbit holes you end up jumping down as well. It'll be great. Love to you all, and I will pop back in with you soon. Bye, loves.